Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today with us for the Oking Meta here in elsewhere. Really happy to see you all, and thank you for coming on Saturday. Today, Sam is run by Sam Samiee, with the artists in the exhibition. His works are just behind. And we're going to talk a little bit about the premise of the show, about Sam's work, but also about the works generated show. So thank you very much, and welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know unlike Saturday, I know I'm not busy this time of the year. It's very concerned really glad to see so many familiar faces and new faces. I would like to start by giving a big shout to the Third Eye team who have been so supportive of making this exhibition come together. Mary, Valerie, Gabby, I have other colleagues. It's a big team. Iris, Mark, Armand, Cija, Ash, and Marie was big. So, and whilst on all this, I would like to thank Sunny Raka, the founder of the Third Eye Gallery, and a dear friend who's have been always very supportive of artists in the region for over 2 decades now, and also have been very big support of independent curators such as myself. And we would not be Sunny, I don't know where we would be today. Thank you, Sunny. My name is Sanaz Askari. I'm an independent curator and an art and sculpture consultant. I am based in Dubai, London. I'm also founder of The Mind. The Mind is a project that's a space based in Dubai and used to a physical space based outputs on 2013 to 2018, which is just around the corner. The Mind's focus have always been supporting emerging artists and engaging the community through interdisciplinary art and mapping. The Mind Park era an online curatorial and advisory platform. Following the closure of the physical space of the Mind, I collaborate closely with artists, nonprofits, foundations, and galleries such as the Third Line, Alserkal, who have always supported me in many of my projects. Now moving on, the reason why we're here today. So, Neither Year Nor Artwork is an exhibition of thought-provoking artists who have been personally following up very closely, which will go through the concept and artists together briefly. But I would also like to thank Sam Samiee, who's here with us, and one of the participating artists of the exhibition, which I take conversation with shortly, and also these works are right behind. It's you, and then the one on the past, the portrait. So, I'm here in Artwork as a representation of artists who share the same experiences of identity, desire, and resistance shaped by censorship and migration and societal marginalization. A marginal space in this side, for me at least, is a concept that recurs to physical, social, or margins of a dominant system. As you can see, there's a lot of liberation, but also it's we work about the body and the space. And this is why I'm very happy Sam is here today, because one of the conversations we've been having, very about conversations, is body movement, space, and how why don't we start with that? So why don't we talk about today a little about this specific series, because it's a part different from the rest of your work, and what they represent to you in this context, for this shows, and in relation with the rest of the artists.
Thank you very much, Samson. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Third Eye team, for having us here, for connecting us. And my apologies to all of you that I see your eyes, but you don't see mine. I have not been very great since morning, and I forgot my glasses at home. And these are my prescriptions, so this is the only way I can look at you. So I hope you forgive me for my eyes. My body being more censored than visually beautiful is. On multiple, Sanaz and I started talking for the make it a bistro, and a half an hour conversation tend to be almost 3 hours. So we try to do another round of study, choosing and selecting and getting some stuff out. But over and over, what we come back to was how to make sure that the works here, and at least I can talk on behalf of my paintings, do not become illustrations or reflection of political problems within. That the body is there as with its own complexities, its impulses, its instinctual existence in the space, the relationship of the humans, and that we do not, since they're talking, we don't let talking take over the materiality of the paintings, the videos, the drawings away. And I read a text from J.B. Portalis to Sanaz, from an editor and psychoanalyst, though two activities you would imagine would be the most betrayers of body, was to really sometimes reduce the complexity of intuition and sensation or feeling to ideas and concepts. And I thought maybe I start reading that page for you all. Yesterday when we were talking about today, we decided that the beauty of this text, it is very related to this exhibition. It is very related to how I personally see visual art as something that overcomes the confinements of language. So the text is from a book called Love Begins. J.D. Portalis wrote an autobiography in French. This is chapter 4, London in Venice. I skipped the introduction. The introduction is a beautiful description of what he sees at Tate Britain, next to Thames, which is a Venice image. But things are chaotic as they are harmonious, violent as they are soft. And then then I let himself speak. At this moment, Turner is forbidding the whole of painting, and painting the whole of reality. I come out of the Tate Gallery. I walk along Thames and Amendez. Later, out on the Rue Whitburn, disoriented, floating in a damp air, I look for a bus stop, the Vaporetto station, to find a line, a route, to go towards the center that should be there. The December rain is cold. The town is by the sea. There is wind and swirl on the river. Pearl and I shall you for shelter. Painting takes possession of me without warning, in a sudden vertigo, in successive waves coming from further and further away. But I don't stay here long. Words get the better of me, and with words, a distribution of time, of tasks, of meaning, which tear you away from the violence of painting or its serenity. For in painting, I find the alliance of opposites. Having fallen out of love with the eloquence of pure sensibility, I move away from its beauty, which for me resides perhaps in this: that with the same gesture and in the same finite place, a painter can both call forth and exorcise chaos. By making it visible, he necessarily orders it. When I've received this terror and this certainty from painting, I can then go about my business with a more troubled soul, but a surer stay. I've recognized, because of having approached it, because of having momentarily yielded to its spell, that in a place apart, there exists an open space. To verify that it exists is enough for me. I can then go back to the usual list of days, of others, and of myself. I can trust words again as if I had newly recovered the assurance, at least for a while, until the next nocturnal light, that words come from that space, that it isn't language that makes language. Sometimes every day, sometimes the everyday, repeated, discontinuous, seems to me to be only a gap between two painted canvases, between two forgotten dreams. The space of the dream and the of the painting, I find the same power empowers them both. In each I drink at the same reliable source. They call to one another. They reinforce my conviction that words translate askew. They lead me to believe that language can only say what is already accomplished, that it arrives late, to move in like an abusive proprietor, an arrogant master. Once the work has been done, the work of the obscure. No assemblage of words, not even the most mineral poems will ever make the witness of the emergence. Above all, not to talk about painting. Above all, not to tell one's dreams. So I think we can unpack this.
Yeah.
Or elaborate over and over.
So literature, poetry play very important roles when it comes down to paintings. And this is a discussion we've been carrying back and forth. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. If you could elaborate how much better your book on the city poetry was in Iran versus the city of recording yourself. We'll talk about when we were young, what the after school courses that we had is recite poetry back and forth.
As a game.
As a game, as an activity, as fun, as a 12-year. And so I know that poetry really impacts your work. And in relation to the text that you just read, literature, can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. I think the cliche view of our region is that language is more important than the other forms. And I think city of Shiraz must be mentioned there, and I like what Curator says, that it is not the language, well, as quoted says, it's not language that makes language, it's not language that makes poetry, it's the garden, it's the wine, it's the love, it's the dance that makes the artist demolish the ordinariness of the Persian language into what later becomes the Persian poetry. So Persian poetry is the result of a very violent demolishing and reconstruction of, those conceptions of words that have been so settled. Or Kristeva puts it in that the revolution in poetic language is that, for example, the word woman in the writings of Virginia Woolf is demolished and made anew, which makes a new woman after her. So, painting for me, I with this book, I started painting because I was tired of the tyranny of language in my culture. And I wanted body to come back. Language was not enough for me. The impulses were more available readily in the scale of sculpture, in the sound of the brush on the canvas, the aggression you have in your hand, but also the love and the pleasure you have in the choice of colors. The chromatic experience is never something that one can translate into language, right? It always exceeds language. And I can constantly think of Maestro, the of sitting here. We always have this conversation. We artists don't go with the idea to make the painting. It's the impulse, the eyelashes of the model in the first room is what intrigues me. And I see myself waking up and still thinking about it. And the second day, the third day, and I make a drawing, and then I see, oh, the drawing is not enough. And I make a painting, and I see, oh my God, the painting is not enough. And only after the painting is finished, I must adopt some words to describe it. And sometimes we don't. But as I want to insist, that to me, the title should be as deconstructing and reconstructing as the painting, therefore to be poetic. And you also were mentioning what could poetry mean for me. And again, I think the most brilliant way poetry can be described, and Content is also touched on it in this text, is that poetry is different from the communication language in the sense that it brings two opposites in the same form. You cannot order your Uber and not order your Uber. I cannot tell you, give me that glass of water and not give me that glass of water. But I can say, to be or not to, that's the question. And that is not, and I believe in this universality of the condition of poetry to be above communication and bringing man and woman, death and life, love and hate, all those opposites next to each other. So that's exactly, as is the title of the show. That is the shortest way I can talk about a poetic aspect of painting and my background in literature and painting in the matter of this exhibition.
That's right. And can you just break it out the Asian boy,
Yes.
your bedroom painting?
Yeah. So the series that you see here are all called Nastali might be an Indian boy. Nastali is the way of Persian calligraphy, also used by Bordeaux. That in 16th century, after long centuries of quarrel between the Western Islamic and the Eastern Islamic, came about to give the identity of the form of the way we write in Pakistan, Afghanistan, northern India, Iran, Kurdistan. This will take a whole day to talk about the prehistory of Nastali, coming from the letterist, poetist, all these theological movements in Azerbaijan, in Iran. The very condition of Nastali, in my opinion, is shaped through the aesthetic, which is selection and leaving out of what we want. Based on body, I think, letterists believe that God has revealed the truth in the 32 letters of Persian. And each letter corresponds with a body order. And of course, the mode of painting for them was very different from ours. But this was one thing. So we keep that on our side. The second thing is that I wasn't very interested in this Iranocentric account of our culture. Whenever we were talking about the Persian culture, we constantly think of Iran and Iranian nationalism. I'm a very patriotic person, everybody knows me knows that. Yet I think it's very depriving not to include a wider inclusion of what has given our music, Ahmed would say, well, if you have halloumi from Iraq and Egypt and Lebanon, you can see all these differences. Well, we have CMSB and Likvan and all these Etian cheeks, paneer, that are all defining the difference of us but the East of East Bank and connecting us at the same time. And so I found Nasdaq to be a very great denominator of identity that connects and binds all these regions, and to paint them. There are multiple more aspects that definitely we can talk about, but each of these guys, and sometimes girls, are from this wide region that Lastali is deployed, and I think their beautiful lashes, their eyebrows, their nose, anze, keshve, eshve, all these niceties of, I love this, I found this in Brixton, London. The Urdu description of Nas is having confidence in having confidence that whatever you do, the beloved will still love you. So all those pushbacks and all those things we have in the music, and I think this embodiment, embodiment of those in those models, and in my relationship to them, the surrounding, which is their car, but the couch that is actually made Shiraz in that painting. The plants, the abiranases, the chinar tree, the tatami that we choose from Japanese culture to bring brought to Iran, were all that reasons for making an intersection of multiple different fields that matter to me, and I don't expect the audience to read this in these paintings. These are just backstage preparations for the discursive research to get to how can I paint our people who are so little represented beautifully in media. I mean, and the big inspiration for me was Black is Beautiful.
And after what we discussed, the European history of art,
Absolutely, which is now our language.
which has been our language forever,
Yeah.
but we were interested, we conceptualized
Absolutely.
by,
Exactly. I want inspirations for people like Rubeida Hibi, how she changes that kind of off-line painting to talk about blackness. And I think more artists of this show too, we also are doing that, each in their own way. But yeah, these were all these components, Faiz.